USC and UCLA. They're both on the outside looking in for the initial college football playoff pairings. Pervert sports writers from sea to shining sea who don't get to F are disappointed that they didn't get to watch the Rams F their picks. And if you're going to watch LAFC and MLS Cup this Saturday, arrive early. And by that I mean Thursday morning. Good morning, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. It is November 2nd, 2022. It is a glorious morning. I'm spending time with Cockblocker the cat, who failed in your name and your mission this morning. Tough. But we're going to talk about LA sports. So if you like the content that we put out, don't forget to clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. I'm not perfect. And besides, I actually like hearing from you guys. So before we go through the news and notes from around LA, looking at the scoreboard, Kevin Fiala might be heating up. He scored his third goal last night. However, the Kings, they lose a second of a back-to-back road trip, right? Dallas 5, Kings 2. Meanwhile, tonight, New Orleans is in town. They're going to play the Lakers at 7:30, and we're all excited to see if the Lakers can build on their winning streak of 1. Meanwhile, the Clippers are in Houston. That game is at 5. Give you an idea, the Clippers, they're struggling, but the Rockets in Orlando are tied for the worst record in the NBA at 1-7. So yesterday afternoon, they decided to release the college football playoff selection poll. You know, we're talking polls all year long, AP this, USA Today that, your local rag, whatever. But the CFP selection poll, the top 4 are what matters this year. Those are the 4 teams that if they stay in the top 4 at the end of the year, go on to the college football playoff. So who are the top 4 teams? Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia, and Clemson. USC, I believe, is 9th. They are, and UCLA is 10th. So obviously, they are both on the outside looking in. Now, you might be sitting there saying to yourself, well, we're a little more than halfway through the season. Doesn't sound like much of a chance. And for the most part, I agree, for the most part. But they do have a puncher's chance, especially when you're considering that the Pac-12 had been down for so many years, and USC and UCLA are actually leading the charge and lifting the conference back up before they pull the rug out from under them. But we'll get to that in a moment. Here's why it's not a done deal that SC or UCLA are out. 2 of the teams will be playing each other this year, and they haven't done it yet. That would be Tennessee and Georgia. So that theoretically would eliminate one of the teams. Now, Oregon actually leads the Pac-12 teams that are ranked. They are 8th. They have a chance to possibly impress the voters in that they have yet to face number 14, Utah. Number 23, Oregon State. UCLA, USC, they're both ranked. They're going to face each other. But in terms of difficult games, that's it for the schedule. So that's a bit of a down thing for them. But having said that, if Oregon loses, they already have a terrifyingly bad loss to Georgia. They would be on the outside looking in. Theoretically, SC or UCLA could slowly climb. Whether they have enough time to climb into the top 4, it's kind of doubtful. But again, a puncher's chance. And yes, I would say this. I do recognize that USC versus UCLA would be an elimination game. I would also wonder what Bruins fans think about the rankings in general. Leave the comments in the thread answering this question. UCLA beat Utah, whereas USC lost to Utah. Now granted, it was in Utah when USC lost, as opposed to in the Rose Bowl, but a win is a win and a loss is a loss. College football analysts are scratching their greasy, thinning scalps over USC's first recruiting class under Lincoln Riley. Not the transfer portal class, the actual high school recruiting class. They're sitting there thinking, hey, USC, it's Lincoln Riley, it's LA. They should be competing with Alabama immediately, and it's just not the case. Now understand, it's a good class. It's a really good class. It's just not elite. I mean, the Trojans, they do have quarterback Malachi Nelson of Los Alamitos, a wide receiver, Zachariah Branch from Vegas. They are both 5-star prospects. Makai Lemon, also of Los Alamitos, they are all three in the top 100 prospects in the land. But if you think about it, if you want to be elite, you've got to land a lot more. So they've landed a lot of commitments. They've landed 20 commitments. But having said that, they're not all top 100 level. So USC is not, quote unquote, there yet in terms of just being able to take a helmet, slap it down on the parents' coffee table, and just looking at that helmet alone is going to make the kid go, oh my God, I want to play there. The Trojans aren't there yet. Having said that, USC is still getting results even if they recruit elite players and the elite player doesn't necessarily pan out. We've been talking ever since this channel began. I was talking about Corey Foreman, formerly the #1 recruit in all the land at defensive end. Where is he? Right? He's not getting any playing time. For that matter, neither is defensive end linebacker Rajon Davis. These two were supposed to be potentially cornerstones of a USC defensive line, and it just hasn't happened. Having said that, again, USC is getting results. They're getting results by filling in the blanks with, say, Raylan Goforth, with Eric Gentry. So the defense, not elite. The defense, still doing just enough. Basically, the upshot is this. You can have as many stars next to your name as you want, but you still have to earn your way on the field. Chip Kelly has let the cat out of the bag. He has basically said he is absolutely in favor of moving the Bruins athletic department to the Big Ten. And this is kind of funny because last week, Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff said across the board it was a perfect no. None of the coaches want to go. None of the players want to go. I guess you were lying again, dude. Guess you were lying again. Now, I will say this, to be fair. Bill Walton opposes the move for UCLA. But this is in 1972, so who gives a bleep? Right? I don't hate Bill Walton, but sometimes you just got to understand the passage of time actually matters. We're not, you may say the current occupant of the White House is as bad as Jimmy Carter, but this isn't the Jimmy Carter era. Are the Rams losers at the trade deadline? Are they? They're not winners, that's for sure. I'm not going to claim that, but losers? I don't think so. See, the Rams, they became famous for the F them picks mentality. And as a former sports writer, I want to let you know the way sports writers often think. They get so caught up in silly, amusing catchphrases that they want to say that is literally how the team's philosophy is, period. And it's extreme oversimplification. That's like looking at a bumper sticker and saying that person believes every one of those 3 words on their bumper sticker, that they base their entire life on something stuck to the bumper of their car. Oversimplification, a stupid way of looking at things. I mean, if you've ever watched NFL Films documentaries, you might remember one on the Raiders way back in the day. And John Facenda, in that baritone, once intoned that every play the Raiders ran was designed to get them into the end zone. Nobody was safe. They will bomb on every down. And then you watch a Raiders game and no, you don't go for the end zone on 3rd and 1. Even the Raiders aren't that effing stupid, right? I mean, sure, they'll throw the occasional bomb too, but they're not bombing 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down. It's not Madden. They actually do, even though they're not that reckless, is the point I'm trying to get. The Raiders may not be good, but they're not that reckless. And for that matter, the Rams are not that reckless either. See, when I look at the Rams and the F them picks mentality, the the Rams would F their picks for one of two situations. Either one, for somebody that they perceive to be a generational talent. Because a draft pick is a guess. You can bomb a number 1 overall draft pick. Again, just ask the Raiders with Jamarcus Russell. But a draft pick is a guess. You get somebody who has, say, 2 years in the NFL and they're just balling and they're just destroying everything, you have a pretty good idea that that could be a generational talent. So as such, the Rams F'd their picks for Jalen Ramsey. Would you F your picks for a 24, 25-year-old Jalen Ramsey? I would. I understood it. And then, of course, the second manner in which the Rams would F their picks would be if they thought they were on the cusp of Super Bowl contention. The Rams are 3-4. They're not on the cusp of Super Bowl contention. So sending out multiple draft picks just because you think there's no way. They know they're not in Super Bowl contention right now. They're in contention for a playoff berth. Roll the dice. But no, not Super Bowl contention right now. So when you look at it from that, when you F your picks for a Matthew Stafford because you think you're in Super Bowl contention, when you F your picks for a Von Miller because you're 7-1, that makes sense. Having said all of that, the Rams still tried to F their picks for generational talent. They were willing to offer 2 first-round picks and more to Carolina for defensive end Brian Burns. Because Burns, as a rookie, had about 7.5 sacks. Last couple of years, he had 9 sacks. He's on the pace right now for 12. You pair him up to Aaron Donald, and your defensive line is now elite. Right? So that makes sense. Executives in the NFL are shocked that Carolina passed up on that offer. But they did. So unless you're getting a generational talent, like a potential one in Brian Burns, or unless you're like right on the edge, you don't F the picks. The Rams' philosophy becomes clearer. Also for the Rams, Van Jefferson might not exactly be the savior for the offense. He has been sidelined since August. He finally played his first game Sunday against the 49ers. He had a knee issue, by the way. Van Jefferson played 31 snaps. He was not targeted once. Hey, you going to MLS Cup? I like soccer. I won't be going, but if you were going, make sure to get there early because MLS Cup is going to be held the same day as USC's homecoming game. Guess who has priority for parking at Exposition Park? Exactly. And I realize LAFC fans are annoyed at this, but can you blame them? It's USC, all that old money, that generational wealth that you hope and you pray you're going to get when you buy Bitcoin. They've had it for decades. They get their shot. USC has been a generational thing. You ever walk through a USC tailgate? You can smell the money. So no, you're sorry. The 3252 doesn't have generational wealth. So what do you have to do if you're an LAFC fan? Glad you asked. You pretty much have to park at Dodger Stadium. It's true. They're going to make MLS fans park at Dodger Stadium and take the bus. And I'm a Galaxy fan, but even I have to feel bad for LAFC fans on that. Who the hell wants to get on the Metro? They're going to make you do it for the most important game of your franchise's history. So I have a question, and I realize it's too late to change this, but in all candor, why not move the game to Dignity Health Sports Park? There's more seating. You don't have to take the Metro. The place is built for soccer, and you might sit there and go, ew, it's where the Galaxy fans hang out. Well, whatever. NYCFC played games at Red Bull Arena in New Jersey. False pride, man. False pride. Now you're taking the bus. False pride leads you to the bus. Former LA Sparks assistant coach Latricia Campbell is to be hired by the Dallas Wings. She was an assistant to LA for the last 4 years. Dallas finished at 500 last year. and they've never seen such heights before, so they did what anybody would do when they've achieved unforeseen heights. They fired their coach. Whatever. Having said that, if you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We do talk LA sports here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corta El Queso production. Take care.